Namanda, it's Namanda, it's Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Welcome. I see entirely new faces. Are any of you also new to Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, as well as to the Buddhist Temple of Marin? You are. You are. Okay. We are a Japanese school within the Pure Land tradition, and Pure Land goes all the way back to the time of the Buddha. It's mentioned a couple times in the Pali Canon. The central figure is Amida, who is both Amitabha, infinite light, and Amitayus, infinite life. The words up there in the Onagin say, Namo Amida Butsu. Butsu is Japanese for Buddha. And we say this in gratitude because Amida embraces us just as we are. You don't have to do anything to earn the embrace of Amida Buddha. It's always there for us to help us reach the Dharma. Jodo Shinshu started in the 1200s, which makes us very young by Buddhist standards. However, it was pretty much the first Dharma group in the Western Hemisphere. It started in the late 1890s. So we're old in that way of reckoning. We have several items on our agenda for today. And our wonderful sensei CJ will be leading us in most of these. Let's see. Okay, we finished ringing the concho. We have a moment of quiet sitting meditation, after which a community reading, which I will lead, and then we'll go on from there.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, it's Namanda, 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 Namanda.
You may have noticed that there's a way to shorten that Namo Amida Butsu, and we use them when we're repeating it a lot of times. It's called Nembutsu, which means thought of Buddha or thinking of Buddha. So when we're saying that, we have our mind focused on the Buddha and the Buddha Dharma, of course. Okay, we're going to start with a community reading, Three Treasures, page 8 in this purple book. And my glasses keep fogging up. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha, May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be free from all hindrances, becoming members in true accord in a life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay. Next we have sutra chanting. It will be led by Sensei Sambujo on page 23, followed by Juni Rai on page 65, two different types. And when you open your book, you'll notice some of the lines have a little hashtag in front. Those lines just Sensei will read, and the rest of them we all read. And it first shows the characters, and then transliteration, and then the meaning. And it's good to, if you can, go along with the transliteration. If not, reading the meaning in English is okay too. Okay.
Junirai. The Gatha Junirai was written by Nagarjuna, who is the first of the 7 masters of Joro Shinshu. It expresses eloquently the depth of Nagarjuna's gratitude to the Buddha Amida. 主任心心教悲尊古が将来未だ尊悲尊無料法勉強無償修悪知識往生不退死菩提古が将来未だ尊我説非尊苦毒智修善無変妙海水小逆善言小上者衛生主上昇非公ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性際道本菩提心往生安楽ナモアミダ仏ナモアミダ仏ナモアミダ仏ナマンダ仏ナマンダ仏ナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ
Thank you, everybody. That was nice. I got so carried away, I chanted along with Sensei one time, and it was very interesting. I'd never done that before. So be it. Okay, next is our Dharma talk, what we've all been looking forward to. So thank you, Sensei.
Good morning. I have a Dharma message. If you give me just a moment, I'm going to coordinate our Zoom that's happening.
Recording in progress.
Okay. If you would please join me in Gassho with your palms together in gratitude. I'd like to share the words of Reverend Dr. Seigen Yamaoka, who is my teacher, my mentor, and a dear friend. He says, "The message of Jodo Shinshu in the 21st century has the potential to touch the minds and hearts of multitudes of people in all walks of life. The Shinjin Nembutsu of Amida Buddha could influence many religious movements in the English-speaking world. Jodo Shinshu teaches the equality of all sentient beings within great compassion. Great compassion is the Buddha of infinite light and life, of wisdom and compassion, of enlightenment truth itself, Amida. This great compassion pervades all life, regardless of circumstances. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 For my Dharma talk today, I wanted to honor the work of Reverend Dr. Seigen Yamaoka, who is a retired Jodo Shinshu Buddhist teacher. He's a minister and the former bishop of the Buddhist Churches of America. And he's shaped the presence and the very nature of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, not just here in the United States, but also back in Japan. As part of his work, Reverend Dr. Yamaoka has been teaching at the Institute of Buddhist Studies for over a decade, with a focus on practical ministerial training and spiritual and pastoral care. On top of all of this, Reverend Yamaoka has been a mentor and advisor and dear friend to me during my 5 years of study at the Institute of Buddhist Studies and since I've become a minister. I'm honored to have such a meaningful relationship with him, and I'm grateful to have to be able to teach alongside him and be his successor at the Institute of Buddhist Studies in teaching the course which he crafted called Issues in Buddhist Ministry. Like many of our Jodo Shinshu teachers and ministers, Reverend Yamaoka is a Nisei, which means that he's part of the first generation of his family to be born in the United States. He grew up a farmer in California, and he always tells us in his class, with great humility, in my opinion, that he never was very, quote, academically inclined. But others in his community compelled him to pursue the path to become a minister. I remember Reverend Yamaoka explaining that the ministry was terrifying to him because at the time it was required for him to move to Japan and study at Ryukoku University in Kyoto. He didn't know any Japanese language, and he would have to leave his friends and family in the United States to live in a foreign nation. After years of hard work and training, Reverend Yamaoka would come back to the United States and serve as a minister, but he still felt woefully unprepared to actually lead and serve the Sanghas in the BCA. After a few years, Reverend Yamaoka came to the controversial decision to pursue his Master's of Religious Education and a Doctorate of Ministry at the Pacific School of Religion in Berkeley. He told me several times that although he appreciated the education he received in becoming a minister through Honganji and through the BCA and through Ryukoku University, he felt like he needed to navigate new ways of connecting the doctrine of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism to the lives of average people, which is at the core for the inspiration for the passage of what I shared today at the start of my Dharma message. This is a book that he published in 2005, and it was edited and republished in 2017. It reflects the hard work and research that Reverend Yamaoka did during the decades that he worked as a minister, a student, a scholar, and a teacher. During his time teaching at the IBS, Reverend Yamoka had touched the lives of dozens of students, if not hundreds of them, most of whom are either now Jodo Shinshu ministers or on our path to becoming a minister. His course, Issues in Buddhist Ministry, focuses on the content of his book, which is a dharmological model for understanding both Jodo Shinshu doctrine and for connecting those teachings to personal life events. This course helps to lay the foundations for ministerial, pastoral, and spiritual caregiving in the Jodo Shinshu context. Beyond just that, though, in his class, we all form a tight community and a spiritual formation. Over the semester, we share painful stories of loss, abuse, neglect, and trauma, and all of us, sensei as well, get to know one another better. And we learn more about how each of us are on our path towards healing our fractured selves. Reverend Yamoka leads by example, exposing the difficulty and vulnerability in his own life. We often think of ministers as perfect people, but we all struggle. We're all human beings. We're unenlightened and we're not Buddhist. Reverend Yamoka creates a safe space in his class for his students to authentically share incredible personal and difficult parts of our lives. And we all learn to cultivate skills of listening, of care and support that are invaluable to ministers, to Dharma teachers, and other Buddhist spiritual and pastoral caregivers. Not only do we cultivate these skills for supporting others, we also learn to build community in understanding our shared suffering. These concepts of mutual aid, care, support, and shared suffering are fundamental to the Buddhist teachings contained within the Four Noble Truths. To provide care and space for suffering is Buddhist practice. I'd like to share a quote from The Arts of Contemplative Care, which is a book on Buddhist spiritual caregiving. It says that Buddhist chaplaincy, ministry, and pastoral work are each practices of presence. We show up to be with those who are suffering, dying, or in need of care. We show up to listen, to be attentive, and to come alongside others. In this process, those dedicated to the practice of care grow and evolve spiritually. It is not about the patient or student or the one who is cared for. It is about a relationship and interbeing. From my own experience with Reverend Yamoka and his classes, he embodies this experience of reciprocal care and learning. When someone shares in our group, everyone else listens attentively, practicing active listening and being present. After the speakers finish sharing what are oftentimes traumatic life events, we each take a moment to respond, which also requires a lot of practice and skill. We cultivate the mindset for our ministry throughout the semester in this class. I strongly believe that this practice of other-centered care is sorely missing in our everyday lives, and that we could all benefit from practicing decentering ourselves. This isn't to say that we don't acknowledge or validate our own pain, but when we notice that someone else is suffering, we have the opportunity to support and practice kindness with ourselves and with that other person. Reverend Yamoka has been a bright and guiding light in my life. He has taught me that in order to be me, to be an effective caregiver, and to be a minister, I have to constantly examine my own path, my own pain, and my own suffering for my life and myself. Working through all of that isn't easy, but we can see an expansive sense of that pain that includes more than just myself. I can really be a force for kindness and compassion in the world that's filled with selfishness and hyper-individualism. I don't think that the skills and practices that we've been looking at in today's talk, the gifts from Reverend Yamoka has imparted on his students, are exclusive tools for ministers and caregivers. Rather, they're essential components to living our lives as Buddhists. It's how we build Sangha, It's how we love and support one another. And it's how we might make space for healing, for compassion, and for growth in our broken society. I'd like to finish my Dharma message today by reading Reverend Yamoka's passage once more. Please join me in Gassho. The message of Jodo Shinshu in the 21st century has the potential to touch the minds and hearts of multitudes of people in all walks of life. The Shinjin Nambutsu of Amida Buddha could influence many religious movements in the English-speaking world. Jodo Shinshu teaches the equality of all sentient beings within great compassion. Great compassion is the Buddha of infinite light and life, of wisdom and compassion, of enlightenment truth itself, Amida. This great compassion pervades all life, regardless of circumstances. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. With that, I will conclude my Dharma message. And we'll also end our service for today. Thank you for coming. I know it's kind of a holiday weekend, and it's nice for you to be here. I was surprised because I found out that we didn't normally have service today, but I'm here and you're here, and I'm so happy that we're all here together. Thanks to everybody who came online and attended our service. I'd also like to thank Catherine for being our chairperson today. Thank you to the Buddhist Temple of Marin, to the Board of Trustees, and to our President, Junko Nakagawa, for supporting the temple, for allowing us to have our service today. Thank you, everyone.